A white manager kicks an elderly black man out of a luxury car dealership, and the next day, he's fired. What happened in those 24 hours shocked everyone. Before we dive in, drop your city or country in the comments. Let's see how far this story travels. This isn't just another headline. It's about dignity, respect, and how one quiet man turned humiliation into something unforgettable. Stay with me until the end, because what unfolded after that door closed will change the way you look at everyday kindness forever. Henry Thomas was 72, a retired bus driver from Georgia, a soft-spoken man who believed that respect was worth more than wealth. He'd spent decades working long hours, raising 3 children, and caring for his late wife, Mary. Mary had passed just 8 months ago. Before she died, she'd point to a red convertible that often cruised by their porch and say, "One day, we'll ride down the coast in one of those." Henry never forgot that dream. After years of saving and with a modest pension, he decided to honor her memory. It wasn't about showing off. It was about closure, about love that lived on even after loss. So, one bright Monday morning, Henry put on his best jacket, polished his old shoes, grabbed a folder with his savings and bank approval, and headed downtown to the luxury dealership Mary had always admired. The dealership was everything Henry expected, and more. Glass walls that gleamed under the sunlight, chrome details that sparkled like jewelry, and the faint smell of leather and polish. He paused at the door, his reflection looking back at him, aged, humble, but proud. The place was quiet, filled with the sound of soft music and murmurs from salesmen dressed in suits. Henry smiled politely as he stepped in, careful not to scuff the spotless floor. He felt a wave of excitement and nerves. He wasn't sure how this would go, but he was ready to finally see the car that had meant so much to his wife. He didn't know that within moments, the warmth of that dream would turn cold, and that this visit would change not only his day, but the dealership's future. Across the showroom, a tall white man in a gray suit noticed Henry. His name was Mark Reynolds, the dealership's manager, confident, controlling, and used to judging customers at a glance. He narrowed his eyes as Henry slowly approached the row of convertibles, his worn jacket standing out among the designer coats and shiny watches. Mark walked over with a practiced smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Sir, can I help you?" he asked, his tone sharp. Henry turned with a kind smile. "Yes, I'm here to see the red convertible." "My wife—" Mark cut him off. "Those are premium models," he said quickly. "They're not for casual viewing." Henry blinked, unsure. "I'm not just looking. I came prepared to make a purchase." Mark glanced at Henry's shoes, then his folder. "Of course," he said dryly. "You might want to try our used lot. It's 2 blocks down." A couple browsing nearby looked over. One of the younger salesmen shifted uncomfortably, but stayed silent. The room grew heavy with awkward quiet, the kind that carries more than words ever could. Henry took a breath, his calm voice steady. "I believe this is a public showroom, isn't it?" Mark folded his arms. "We don't let just anyone touch these vehicles. They're worth more than some people's houses." A few customers turned to listen. One woman frowned, sensing the tension. "I'm not here for a handout," Henry replied softly. "I have my approval letter right here." He opened his folder, showing printed bank documents. Mark didn't even glance down. "Sure you do," he muttered, stepping closer. "Sir, please don't make this uncomfortable. You're blocking our paying clients." The words stung. Henry's eyes flicked around the room. Some looked away, others stared. The younger salesman bit his lip, wanting to intervene but frozen in fear of his boss. Henry nodded quietly, closed his folder, and turned toward the door. No raised voice, no anger, just dignity. But what neither of them noticed was the woman near the entrance, phone in hand, recording every second of the encounter that would soon make headlines around the country. The woman near the entrance, a young journalist named Alana Brooks, couldn't believe what she'd just seen. Her phone trembled slightly as she filmed the final moments of Henry walking out the glass doors. Silent, shoulders straight, the picture of quiet pain. That night, she uploaded the clip to social media with the caption, "He walked in with grace. They kicked him out with hate. This is America in 2025. Within minutes, comments began to pour in. Heartbreaking. Why is this still happening? The clip spread fast, first through her city, then across the country. It wasn't just a video. It was a mirror, showing something people were tired of pretending didn't exist. As Alana went to sleep, she couldn't shake one thought. This man deserved to be seen, and by morning, the whole nation would know his name. By sunrise, the video had exploded. Over 2 million views in less than 12 hours. News stations picked it up, anchors debating the same question. How could anyone treat an elderly man that way? Comments filled every feed. My dad looks just like him. This broke me. That manager better be unemployed by now. Hashtags calling for accountability trended across platforms. Community leaders demanded an apology, while others shared their own stories of bias and humiliation. Reporters camped outside the dealership, cameras flashing as customers canceled appointments. Inside the dealership's glass office, the owner, Richard Hale, watched the clip in stunned silence. His luxury brand, built over 20 years, was being shredded in hours. He paused the video on Henry's calm face, the quiet strength in his eyes. Richard whispered to himself, "We have to fix this. Now." The next morning, when employees arrived, the dealership didn't open on time. Instead, a white paper notice was taped to the glass door. Effective immediately, Mark Reynolds is no longer with our company. Whispers spread fast through the staff. Some were relieved, others shocked. But everyone knew. The internet had spoken. Still, the tension didn't fade. Something about the silence that morning felt heavier than usual. Reporters lingered outside, waiting for a statement. Inside, the owner stood by the window, holding Henry's contact information. He had found it through the comments section, where someone had recognized Henry from his old bus route. Richard exhaled slowly. The firing wasn't enough. The world had seen a man wronged, and now it was his turn to make it right. But how do you fix something deeper than just bad behavior? The next move had to mean something. 2 days later, Henry's phone rang. It was a call he never expected. "Mr. Thomas," a calm voice said, "this is Richard Hale, the owner of the dealership. I'd like to invite you back. Through the front door this time." When Henry arrived, news vans lined the street. Reporters stood outside, microphones ready. Employees waited near the entrance, their faces heavy with guilt and curiosity. As the glass doors opened, Henry stepped inside. The same man, the same showroom, but an entirely different silence. Richard Hale met him halfway, no suit jacket, no pretense, just sincerity. "Mr. Thomas," he said, his voice breaking slightly, "on behalf of my company, I'm deeply sorry for how you were treated here." For a moment, the entire room seemed to hold its breath. Yesterday, Henry had been invisible. Today, everyone was watching and listening. Richard led Henry toward the bright red convertible that had started it all. Cameras clicked softly, but no one spoke. "This car meant something to you," Richard said. "I'd like you to have it, not as a gift, but as an apology for what you should have received the first time. Respect." Henry's hands trembled slightly as the keys were placed in his palm. He didn't cry. Instead, he smiled. That same calm, dignified smile that had captured the nation's heart. He whispered, "Mary, we did it." Before sitting behind the wheel, the press snapped photos as the engine purred to life, its soft rumble echoing like justice found. Richard stepped back, humbled. In that moment, Henry's quiet grace outshined every luxury car in the showroom. In the weeks that followed, the dealership announced new mandatory anti-bias and empathy training for all staff. The story became a national example, proof that change starts with accountability. The young salesman who had stayed silent during the incident reached out to Henry personally. He apologized, not with excuses, but with action. Together, they partnered with a local nonprofit to mentor young people from underprivileged communities who dreamed of working in business and sales. The dealership also began hosting community events, opening its doors to everyone, no matter their background or appearance. For Henry, it wasn't about revenge or headlines. It was about respect, the one thing money can't buy and pride can't fake. Every Sunday, he drove that red convertible through town, smiling at those who waved, grateful that his story had turned pain into purpose. Henry Thomas never asked for fame. All he wanted was kindness and the chance to honor his wife's memory. His story isn't just about a car or a cruel manager. It's about dignity, equality, and how one moment can open a nation's eyes. How many others are turned away and never seen? How many stories go untold because no one pressed record? Sometimes the quietest people spark the loudest conversations. If this story moved you, share it. Comment your city or country below. Because respect should never be luxury. It should be the standard.